Welcome back to episode 4 of Give and Take with Tay, where ideas are turned into action. Ben and Liam, thank you so much for having me here today. How are you guys going?
Oh, man, we're going good.
Very
Taydam.
good.
Thanks for having us.
Oh, thanks for having us. What do you mean? Welcome to my studio.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's the thing. We're recording this in our studio. So it's weird when you're saying, like, thank you. And we're like, no, thank you for coming here, actually. This is just where we were anyway. And this is what we do all day, just talking here, basically.
Oh, amazing. So how's the Novak 919 going?
Yeah,
It's
very
going
good.
well, yes.
I always feel like a duck to water. We love Triple J. We really loved it. But, for a lot of reasons, we chose to come here. And I feel like it definitely feels like just the right fit.
Oh, it feels at home, doesn't
We
it?
rebranded to Novak 919 when we got Novak Djokovic on the show as well, just in case people were like listening, going, Taydam, I think it's Nova. Maybe you should do your research. Okay?
It's written everywhere in this room.
Okay, I don't know what that was all about.
Oh, I had to bring it up though.
Yeah.
That was such a good video. Well, if you guys are ready to start, let's get the show on the
Yeah,
road.
let's do it.
So starting off, boys, tell me about your childhoods growing up. Let's get personal.
You
Let's
go
get
first,
personal.
Liam.
Right. Well, I grew up in Golden Grove, and it's sort of middle class background. Had a great time. Loved it. Went to Padare, which is next to Gleeson Golden Grove.
Yep.
My mum was a nurse at the Modbury Hospital and at the RA, and I've got a younger sister. And my dad's from the UK, and he is a master in disaster management, which I don't really understand what that is.
How old was Tom when he came over to Australia?
Oh, he was a teenager.
Teenager.
So he's been here for most of his life. And I don't think he has an accent, but Ben sort of does.
Yeah, he does.
A lot of people think
What
he
kind of
does.
accent?
Well,
He's from Coventry, so it's not really a fun one. He just says some words kind of weird.
but then you've gotten that from him as well. Some of your words sound a little bit different.
Yeah.
Like auction and auction.
Yeah, I say auction.
Yeah.
Auction?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess I grew up in Two Wells, out like country north.
Snap.
You're the same.
Two Wells as well.
Did you go to Two Wells Primary?
I went to Angevale Primary.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Yeah, so I
That's
just
the thing. Taydam, you seem like you're very sort of out there. You're obviously,
it's
that
the
kind of
coffee,
personality.
Yeah.
So I would think, and maybe I'm speaking out of term here, but I would think that you were involved also in the Two Wells melodrama group. Am I right?
No.
No.
Oh, okay.
I was not. I was trying to get away from there, actually. So I went to Merrittville High School.
Yeah.
But I used
Okay.
to catch the train from Smithfield Station.
Ooh,
Right.
real rough train station.
train ride every day.
Yeah, see, I went the
but-
opposite.
And you wouldn't have stood out at all in your Marrickfield uniform, your blazer.
Yeah,
Oh,
I was the opposite. I really lent into just the boganness of where I grew up. But mum and dad live in Lower Light now, so I've always lived out in that direction. Went to Two Wells Primary School, went to Gawler High School.
Amazing.
Mum and dad raced greyhounds growing up. They retired when I was like 10. And then, they were pretty rough and tumble parents. And I got a brother. He's older. I got a sister. She's older as well. So I'm the youngest out of 3 kids.
Ben was also in the Two Wells melodrama group.
I
can tell.
tried to brush past
He
that.
was in a
but
couple of
I
performances.
couldn't tame my inner dance demon.
Yeah, he loved
Beautiful.
it.
So
Yeah.
a bit of a difference there in terms of childhood.
Yeah,
Right?
well,
Yeah.
I mean, I suppose the way it's kind of, I feel like we're becoming more and more similar because our lives have kind of been intertwined over the
Kind
last
of even your
8
names,
years.
Ben, Liam.
Well,
Yeah.
it's kind of, it's together, but when we first met each other, Ben was definitely, he was still a dairy farmer and was so for most of our time when we started in community radio, and he was very country, and I was not at all. I was very,
Well,
I was
feel like-
sheltered. I was kind of going to uni at the time, and I was drinking coffee, and even Ben thought it was weird to drink coffee. That's how country he was.
I think that Liam and I are very, very different in so many ways, but I feel like we've got the same sense of humour, so that's
course.
definitely where the chemistry comes
Same
from.
work ethic.
Yeah.
We sort of, from early sort of times, we sort of, got into work at the same time, left at the same time. And there's probably a lot of similar things.
Although
that we do
Liam
have.
has had more days off than me, so that will be on the record.
Wow.
I had one when my grandma died and one when I had food poisoning. And
No
that's it.
excuses.
No excuses, mate.
But Ben's had none in 8 years. But I haven't missed a show at Nova or Triple J.
Yeah. Ben, the bit of the David Goggins of the.
Who's
of the
David
show.
Goggins?
Yes, Goggins. I mean, I could tell you about Goggins.
Who's
You don't know
Goggins?
Goggins?
Goggins was the big fat guy, and he lost all the weight, and he became like
Subway
a
Oh,
guy.
he's
Marine.
done everything.
No,
He's done
not the
everything.
Subway. We don't talk about him
about
anymore.
Subway
No,
guy, yeah.
Goggins. He's like a Marine now, right?
Yeah, like he's done a few things.
Hang on. This Goggins guy is famous because he was overweight and then he lost the
No,
weight and
No,
then
it's
became
the
a Marine.
motivation. It's the story.
He ran so far once that and he was really overweight at the time, right? He fractured like his shin bones and his like feet were actually broken. Like he was breaking bones in his feet, but he just kept running. He just wouldn't stop.
There's motivation and there's stupidity.
Well,
Oh, but
I wouldn't call
it's got a Guinness World Record.
That's
so,
it. And I
yeah.
wouldn't call Goggins stupid because he could break every bone in your face by like
Really?
just flicking you. Yeah, he's really like.
Oh, he's extreme. So
Yeah,
I'm saying,
right.
like, you know, you having that power.
Yeah, right. Okay, I'll look into
yeah.
Goggins.
Yeah, you got to look at
Well,
it. He
moving-
did a Joe Rogan. So if you want to listen to
Did
like
he?
a 6-hour-long podcast,
Okay.
you can check out the Goggins.
Well, moving forward, guys, question 3. Pathway into radio. How did you guys end up at Nova?
Well, I mean, I suppose it's a long story, but it all starts.
Give us the short version.
Yeah,
Please.
Community radio, that went all right. Then did public radio, that went all right as well. And then no.
Yeah.
Next question.
No, so it was Fresh was first. Community radio in Adelaide, amazing.
For me, it was actually PBAFM was first
True.
in
Wow.
Salisbury. So that's where I started when I was 15. And then I did that for a little while and started at Fresh. And Ben and I were both doing Fresh shows for like a couple of years, but not together because I was on the weekend and Ben was doing sort of.
I was doing Wednesday breakfast.
Wednesday breakfast? Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, cool.
And then, the story goes his sort of previous co-host had a baby. And
Not planned.
Yeah, not planned.
Yep.
He got someone pregnant and
Yep.
then he decided
And then he was out of there.
yeah, he needed to make money, and community radio is not great for money. It's great
Yeah.
for a lot of things, not for making money.
No.
Yeah, and so then I
yeah.
called our boss Tom Martin at the time, who was the content director at Fresh, and I said, "Can Liam do it with me?" And he said, was it one show?
It was one show, yeah. He said, "Don't let him get his hopes up."
Yep.
And then it went kind of all right. It was another show, then another show, and then I joined Ben on the Wednesday mornings. Then we took over the Thursdays, and then the Tuesdays, and then it was the Monday,
then-
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays, and then
The job came up because
Yeah.
they wanted to go consistent throughout, like breakfast
Yep.
for the whole 5 days, and then we were doing street team stuff at the time for Hit or the Oz Stereo Network. And then they made us choose. They said, "Do you want to choose Fresh or us?" And then we knew there was a job coming up at Fresh, so we chose Fresh. And then we got the job there, which was very exciting, and did that for 2 years.
Yep.
2 years, sort of like paid, like
Yeah,
as
paid,
a job,
yeah.
and
Yeah,
then
wonderful.
then got the big Triple J gig, and 3 years went in a flash, and then we kind of had this crossroads where we were like, we can either stay there and we were loving it, and there was no real reason to jump, or we sort of take the next step, and we know our ultimate goal is to sort of do one of the biggest shows at Nova. So we thought, look, this is the pathway that we're going to take, and realistically, where we were, it was either. The next move would always have to be an Adelaide, a Brisbane, or a Perth, or something
Jumping
like that.
through hoops, boys.
Yeah, and
You
we
gotta
thought,
have to.
hell, if we could come home for a few years, it's probably the best way for it. Keeping in mind our girlfriends sort of moved to Sydney for us,
Yeah.
and that was kind of tricky on them as well. So it was good to be able to
Experience that
Sydney.
a bit, you know?
Sydney was great, but it was good to come home.
And
see
what I
the
would
family.
say as well is people listening that are trying to get into the media world as well, because we've kind of skimmed through that pretty quick. But I feel like if you want to try and get into these jobs, I'm not very good at it. Liam does it better than I do, but you got to be able to network with people. You got to be able to make connections and then keep those connections and turn them into relationships.
It's true.
And
It's a
so
real family thing, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
It
And you've got to
is.
be able to put yourself out there and ask someone, can I come and meet you, or can I have a meeting with you? Because you just never know what someone's going to say. And most of the time, they're going to say yes.
We were real pests. We emailed like a lot of people and sort of went around the country and.
How do you think I got in touch with you guys?
That's true.
Yeah, true. You got that hustle,
I
you
said,
know?
Ben, this pest message us.
Yeah.
Do you reckon we should do that? No, but that's literally that's
It
what
is,
it's
that's
like,
how you
right?
do it,
I mean,
man. You don't know.
If you don't ask, then you don't receive. So,
Yeah.
and we say that all the time as well. And sometimes at like radio schools and things, and no one ever messages us.
Yeah, we use that all the time.
Here's our emails, and no one. So
Well,
if
that's fine.
If
that's
you,
fine.
reach
I can
out at
slot
any
in.
time. Yeah.
But
Well,
that's great. It's good because you not only obviously make connections, you meet people, but it is at the end of the day, you work for a little bit, you're not getting paid, but if it's what you love, it's what you love.
yeah,
You
no,
know,
exactly
and you do
right.
it anyway.
You're obviously doing it for a passion, sort of thing.
Oh,
yeah.
for sure. Yeah. Well, moving forward, boys, what inspired you both to join the media sphere?
Well,
I don't think I ever
wanted to be in the
I don't think
media
I
sphere.
ever thought of being in the media sphere. Yeah, I think I
Even when you say the word, it's like, oh, we're in the media sphere now. aren't
Yeah.
We kind of just fell into it. That was it.
Oh no.
I never knew what I wanted to do when I was younger,
Yeah.
and then I started working on the dairy farm, and I used to enjoy that, and then I got to a point where I didn't like it anymore, and
Yeah.
then I knew I liked comedy because I started doing stand-up,
Yeah.
not very well, but I did stand-up, and then I knew I loved Hamish and Andy, and I loved what they did,
Oh, they're
but it's one of
amazing.
those things where I don't think, especially when I was younger, I didn't think radio was a career. You just think that,
Yeah.
they're lucky they do that, but then I remember listening to Fresh because I was about 18, I think, at the time. Maybe I was 17, and my friends were just starting to get
Yeah.
into dance music, and they used to play these ads on Fresh that said you can come in and volunteer and be on air, and I was like, no
Yeah.
way. And so I looked into it, and it turns out you could, and that's when I started volunteering. So I think that's what made me actually realised that it was an achievable goal was hearing those ads on Fresh saying you can come and be on air.
Yeah. I wanted to be the goalkeeper for Liverpool, and that didn't work out.
Oh, damn it.
So I've moved into radio, but yeah, same deal really. I was just sort of started at the station there in Salisbury, and sort of, I mean, that's the same with all community radio stations. It's not, most people aren't being paid to be there. There's normally like a sort of skeleton staff that sort of keep the thing running. But it's all just people volunteering, and there's some great places in Adelaide, especially for young people to get involved. So, the only person stopping you is yourself, really. You don't even have to pay for it with a Hexted or anything. You can just do it.
It's true. You can just do it. You can just get on and talk and say whatever you want.
Which is, I mean, of course, that's not the same with every industry. You can't just start practicing law and walk in and, I will defend this man. It doesn't really work like that. So, we're kind of lucky we're in one of those. Even for you, like journalism, I suppose.
Yeah, it's pretty tough gig at the moment.
I suppose you've got to get the degree, really, which is tricky. Yeah.
Well, not insane. I don't know. I took a bit of a weird turn with it though. I'm only in the second year, and when obviously having that common background of Fresh, it's such a great place to start. They're awesome. You can go in whatever you want to do. If you want to be an announcer, or if you want to be a DJ, they supply so many different opportunities, and I kind of just walked in and did it. Like you said, it comes down to that. It's only you stopping you.
You don't have to do this. Don't take this the wrong way. But I remember when I was actually at McGill campus as well doing media, and I remember I spoke to a guy called Troy who worked at Fresh at the time. He was like the general manager, and I said, like, be honest, is this degree going to help me in radio? And he said no.
Nope.
And then the next hurdle was me explaining to my dad that I wanted to drop out of uni. Yeah. And to his credit, took him out to lunch, and he was sort of okay with it. And then never really looked back. But at that point, I didn't have any money with radio at all. I was lucky enough to be young enough so my parents could sort of support me. I could sort of and I found another job quickly in the meantime. But I definitely, there was that moment that I had to make that jump. And
see, that's very interesting you say that, because that's something that comes up in my mind a lot.
You think about doing it?
But at the same, like, when you start something, it's like, no, I've got to do it. I've got to stick to it. I'll just do it because it helps. So it does help.
Yeah,
but at the same time, it's like within the last 3 months, the amount of yourself putting yourself out there to get what you need, you can do it. You can create that beautiful foundation.
And that's, I mean, you're also 2 years in, so I mean, you put a lot of work in. I was like, 6 months in, so. It was a bit easier. It was a bit of an easier call for me, but but there's other options out there for things. That's
amazing. Well, moving forward, boys, tell me your best and worst moments ever on the job.
On the job.
On the job. Best and worst moments.
I had a dog once. Though. Best on the job. I think I must admit. Now I don't know if I get in trouble with Nova for saying this.
Is it getting the Triple J job?
Yeah.
Because I think that was
the biggest
progression.
I think
you went from doing community radio in Adelaide to doing national radio. Wow. That was definitely
I remember we got a call from our manager, and I was in the car actually getting some faster pasta with my sister because she just finished year 12 that day. So I was out with her, and I got the call, and I just couldn't believe it. Like that was whatever we do from this point on, I suppose that's probably going to be the biggest jump from what we were doing, sort of chipping away. And you speak to a lot of people in radio, and like although it's very important to us, and we'll always preach about how great community radio is, a lot of people sort of fob it off and be like, it's not that
I remember
important.
Liam found out first that we got the job, and then he called to tell me, but I'd stayed back late that day because I had to get some work done for something. It was a client thing for Fresh, and I was actually with them and people and staff from Fresh.
And he was giving me nothing.
My phone rang and I answered it, and Liam was like, we got the job. He was obviously very excited.
What
and
an
then
awkward
I couldn't say anything because I was around everyone that I worked with, and they couldn't know yet. And so I went, oh, cool.
He was like,
you're like, oh, cool. Yeah, thanks, man. And you're like on the end, why don't you love this?
I was like, it's great. It's great. Yeah. And I was like, give me something. Yeah. And then, I don't know, I suppose
worse. We have bad days, but it's such one of those jobs where you really can't complain about.
Absolutely.
Worst. I don't know if anything off the top of my head.
Yeah, I suppose same in that sort of period. I suppose that for like getting the gig was like so amazing at Triple J, and then it took us a little while to sort of get used to things, and we copped a bit of backlash. So that was probably like the worst sort of feeling of the show, where it was just not sort of rolling naturally, and just took us a little while to get our legs there. But once we did, the rest was history, and it was such a fun run.
Cool. All right. Well, moving forward, who are your biggest inspirations and why?
Jeez, that is it's a good one. For some reason, Noel Fielding for me. I don't know if you are familiar with the Mighty Boosh. Comedy duo.
If you haven't seen Mighty Boosh,
are they a part of my generation?
Yeah, I mean, we're talking like No,
been
like
young.
like mid 2000s kind of.
I think that's also, like I said before, I think Liam and I are very different people. We share a sense of humour. I feel like when we first met each other, we both, I mean, Liam's probably a big fan than I am, but we both realised we liked the same show, Mighty Bush, and we bonded over that too.
Yeah, genuinely, I was around that time, that sort of those formative years, I suppose, like, you know, being sort of around about 14, 15 was the time when I was like, yeah, no, actually I don't like the sport thing. And that's kind of weirdly, Mighty Bush did a radio show, which was only like 6 episodes, but I was so obsessed with the show and with him and the, you know, the art and the stand up and stuff. I remember that was sort of the time where I was like, oh, I want to be like that, whatever that is.
Yeah. I want to be that.
Pretty
Just
much.
that.
And like probably, you know, if you look back at some of your like early stand up stuff and you're like, oh, it's kind of cringe. Like you probably emanate a little bit too much of that. Yeah. But that's, you know, just how you find your feet. And really, like, you know, hosting a commercial breakfast radio show in Adelaide is not not what the Mighty Boosh did, but in, you know, and I suppose in a way I've kind of ended up, you know, following my passion.
It goes hand in hand in the
sense.
You know?
But I mean, he hasn't really done, I mean, he hosts like the Great British Bake Off now,
That's
so I don't
right.
really, but that was probably a big one in my life that,
amazing.
Yeah.
I think you'd be lying as well if you said you didn't look up to Hamish and Andy. I mean,
for sure.
They,
amazing.
You know, I mean, but then they would say they looked up to American Rosso.
Yeah.
And before American Rosso, it was
Martin and
Malloy. So there's always you know, someone else setting the bar higher. But we definitely look up to Hamish and Andy because they're just so creative with their ideas.
It almost had to. There was a point as well, like in our careers, where we sort of had to like stop listening to their show and podcasts and stuff because, of course, people are always, you know, if it's two dudes doing radio in this country, people are going to be like, oh, like, you know. But I think, you know, the longer we've been in it, the more you shake that sort of stuff anyway, and you do your own thing. When you're starting out, of course, it's sort of like comparisons are going to be drawn, and you know, even I think every station I've started at, people are like, oh, you know, you're probably not as much Nova, but used to cop flack for like my voice sort of sounding like Hamish's voice and that sort of thing.
Yeah, so it's you're trying to. It's a weird area. It's a bit of a grey area because you want to be inspired by others, but you want to still be yourself. But then you're not sure if yourself is authentic enough, and then if it's not fun,
and then the best way you can really shake it is by just not thinking about it, or not worrying about it.
And I think more just for them, just because they sort of gave so much to radio in the sense that they really just pushed it, right? Like they, you know, sort of so creative. And we're huge fans of Kate, Tim and Marty. Of course, Kate, Tim and Joel now, and we've become chummy with Tim Blackwell over the years, and of course Fitzy and Whipper as well. There's sort of classic Nova shows that have been around
surgery,
for years.
All that kind of stuff.
We don't know Smallsy as well, I must admit. But like Fitzy's a friend of ours as well, and so we look up to all those guys who've just sort of been in the industry for like, you know, decades, which is kind of what we can hope for.
Yeah. No, that's amazing. Well, cheers for that one. Well, out of the two of you, who's the weirdest?
The weirdest?
The weirdest.
The freakiest.
Depends in the context of weird.
You guys tell me. That's why I'm asking.
I would say Liam's more eccentric.
But I think Ben's weirder socially, for example.
Yeah, I'd be weirder socially, for sure.
So, I probably, there's some decisions I make that you're like, what? But then just the way sort of Ben handles himself around people, you're also like, what?
But then you're also very socially awkward. Just like the amount of times that
that's true. Maybe
someone will be trying to wrap up a conversation with Liam, but then he'll just keep talking, and then he won't pick up the signs that they're trying to end it, and then they'll be walking out of the room. He'll keep talking until the door shuts.
If I say hi to people that I've kind of met once, I'm like, hey, and they're like, that didn't work.
My least favourite thing that Liam does is he'll see someone from a distance, and then he'll go for the wave, and then they'll kind of look at him awkwardly and walk away. I'm like, why would you wave at that person?
Speaking of Hamish and Andy, I remember we sat in on their show like before the Triple J days. This is going back ages ago, and they were like so nice to us. We got there nice and early,
very
and sort of watched their way their day went, and that all started from an email, and they were the best. And I remember Hamish was like in the show, and he came out and he was like talking to us for a little bit, and we were knocking it back and forth. And to be honest, if we left it there, probably would have been like,
I was impressed. It was a good conversation.
It was
cool interaction. Like we kept the ball.
But then you could
going down the rabbit hole.
You could clearly see Hamish had to get back into the studio because a break was about to start.
It was probably like 40 seconds.
He started walking away to the studio.
And I was like, and another thing, man. And like
then the studio door had opened, and Liam kept talking, and then the door kind of awkwardly shut halfway.
Whilst I was still talking.
And then Hamish opened and went, what was that? Because he's obviously such a nice guy.
It was like,
what was that? And then Liam went, don't worry about it, man. And then it kind of just ruined it.
I looked at him like, Ben, I was like, I cooked it, didn't I?
I cooked it. That's it. It's fried.
Yeah, that was the worst.
Yeah, cool. Well, what are the hot top tips of being a successful radio host?
Well, you'd have to ask the successful radio host.
Yeah.
Have you got any funny sound effects there?
There you go. That's it.
Yeah, I would say, I mean, and this isn't just for radio, this is for anything. If
Yeah.
you're sort of looking at getting in any
Stretching
industry,
it out.
it's just being really committed, being passionate and loving what you do.
Yeah, I mean, it's a
And-
cliche answer, but hard work. A lot of people don't work hard. And, you know, me and Liam, zero talent. But you've got to rely on hard work.
And
you don't
that's
have
it.
talent.
And our show's kind of like silly and that sort of stuff. But it is. I mean, we're recording this at 2:30 now. We got in just before 5 a.m. this morning,
Big
and
days.
we'll still be here for like an hour after as well. So that's sort of
Yeah.
like the way. And a lot of people like, I'm not naming names, but there's a lot of shows just around the country that. And when we sort of found that out, we're like, that's a thing? Like, and that's community radio right through to commercial radio where people just sort of, it's called show and go.
You do your
Show
show and then
and
you
go.
go.
So you pretty much do the show and then you just sort of leave and producers work things out. But we're very hands-on and we just really, I suppose we just care about what we do.
Yeah.
So I think that's the biggest key, really. And then,
It's
of
true,
course,
even like, you know, you talk about care as well, like, because then you look at the radio show, then you look at the socials as well, like, so many shows, I would say most of the shows, not every show, but most shows don't have a handle on their socials, they just let someone else do it, and you can see that in the end result.
You can tell, yeah.
We
Yeah.
kind of talk about the plates a little bit at work where we're like, like when all the plates are spinning, it's good. When the show is like sounding good and there's like fun things happening, and also when there's things happening on social media. Because like I think we even had this year's been pretty fun. What are we, like a month in? But already in this month, we try and like think of an idea of something
Set
to
the bar a
post
bit, a little
every
bit
day.
different, yeah.
Like a new video or something like that, or just something. And we had a whole week where we didn't post
Like
something.
last week we had no posts, which
But
is rare.
we were out at schools doing discos every day,
Yeah.
which is like one of those things that you're like,
And
you know,
yeah,
That's
it's
good.
it's a catch-22 because then you're like, well, we didn't post all day today. Do we post something? Then you're like, well, are you posting just for the sake of posting?
Yeah.
Then why are you posting it? You know, so you've got to kind of be. Then you got to work double time because you're doing all these school discos, but then you're also trying to get content up on your socials, and you got to something's got to give somewhere. So
but it's
Yeah.
it's just a bit of a it's just a care factor thing, I
Yeah, you have
suppose.
to have it. To have that motivation to jump, you got to
Yep.
be creative.
Yeah.
Can't repeat the same things.
Well, that's
you know?
it. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly right.
Well, cool. I love that. I love that. Well, so when was the last time you both did something crazy for Nova? What was the craziest thing you've done?
we literally just did the
Hung off
the
the billboard
billboard.
like 4 days ago.
That's probably the
Oh,
biggest.
that was amazing. I saw that.
Yeah, I reckon that was the biggest thing we've done.
Yeah, and before that we jumped out of a plane whilst doing the show.
Skydiving live, yeah.
Very interesting you say that. We, as representing the Adelaide set, we did the exact same thing. So
You jumped out of a
same
plane?
place, SA skydiving.
Yeah. Oh,
right.
We made a video as well.
Did
So
you do a radio show jumping out of it?
No, we
Okay.
didn't do
Got
that. We
ya.
didn't.
Got
We
ya.
weren't
Bloody
as
got ya.
committed as you guys.
If you
but
said the billboard thing, I'm like, surely
Yeah.
not.
not the billboard thing. That's next. That's
Yeah,
next.
yeah, right.
But yeah, we did that, and it was crazy because my friend Hamish and I, we both jumped out together, and it's just. Wow, that moment when you're in the plane and
Yeah.
about to go out, like you can
Scary,
see
isn't it?
looking at your faces in your videos, it was
Yeah.
just
Yeah,
crazy
yeah.
stuff.
It went
isn't
from like we're having fun to like, oh my god, yeah. Unless you've like a seasoned pro, I think everyone's gonna freak out a little bit at that point
crazy.
just
Yeah.
before they drop out.
So that was the end of last year. I mean, yeah, the most recent thing though, the billboard, that was, from our point of view, that was so impressive because we had the idea,
Yeah.
but then just to see all of Nova, like the producers and the behind the scenes, the people that do all the real work, to see all them come together. And like when we were hanging there from the billboard and you saw about 20 people all around below you, and they were the ones that did all the hard work. It was
Yeah.
pretty
Yeah.
impressive.
And that's also one of those things
Wow.
where people are like, oh, why'd you move to Nova? And like, I mean, that's
Because
a
you
big
can do
reason
that.
there.
Because
Like,
you can go on a
'cause
billboard,
we can
duh.
Yeah.
We can go like, how about we do this? And then they're like, right, so we're going to build the scaffolding. We're going to get a crane to like
Yeah.
get this up. Like,
Yeah.
so much work in the back end.
But that's the beauty as well of doing, and not everyone can do this, but that's the beauty of doing what we did in terms of Fresh and then Triple J and then Nova. Now that we're at Nova, when you can go on a billboard and do a radio show live, you appreciate it because you couldn't do that at the other stations.
Yeah.
So when you
No.
can do that stuff now, like if for someone who was given a job like this, I feel like they wouldn't appreciate something like a billboard as much as what we
And
did.
there's still things like, I mean, Ben and I probably both spent an hour each today just editing and sort of like, then we put a bit of a package together earlier today. We were looking after this kid to try and raise money to buy a helicopter, which is the next thing we're
the
doing.
next thing.
What's you're raising money for a helicopter?
Yeah, we're trying to buy a helicopter.
Oh,
so-
that's so cool.
Yeah.
Imagine going to school in that.
Yeah, well, that's the thing.
Going right there on the oval.
Exactly.
That's what
Oh,
we're gonna
badass.
take
That's what we're
kids
gonna
to
do.
school on the chopper. So
Yeah.
you sort of, there's still stuff that we do today that we sort of, jobs that you learnt how to, tools you used at Fresh and that sort of stuff, and you got to keep all the basics as well.
Of course, don't forget where you come from.
Yep.
Yeah, that's it.
Kind of it. Well, amazing guys. Well, who has the most dedicated routine out of the both of you?
I think they're pretty similar.
They're
to be
very
honest.
similar. Like
Very
we live.
similar.
I mean, in the last couple, like when we were at Triple J, I would say I was more strict in terms of I always had a set bedtime.
Yes,
But that was purely just personal because I couldn't function the next
and
day.
I was
if
getting
didn't have
lots
good
of
sleep.
free tickets to gigs and
Yeah.
meeting a lot of the artists
Living
and
the
stuff.
rock star
so
life.
That's also
I was
that's
caning it.
That's our personalities. Like I'm introverted, Liam's extroverted. So I guess
Yeah.
if he goes to a gig that night, he gets energy from that, whereas I'm the opposite. I get energy from going to bed.
I need
and-
my book. I need my sleep.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
I mean, in terms of routine, like we both get to work at the exact same time. We both leave at the exact same time.
And
we
I'm
both put in
going
the same
to
amount of
bed
work.
earlier now as well.
Yeah.
Obviously, COVID stopped a lot of the gigs and things, and I sort of just. But maybe I'm also like I've turned 24 this year, and Ben's what you like
27.
Yeah, so Ben's like
Yeah.
Ben's always been that little bit older. So when I was sort of being like, oh, he's an old man. Like,
We
I
are
suppose-
here to party.
Yeah, like if I was in my late teens, like very early 20s,
Yeah.
and I was single for a little bit of that as well. So you're gonna live different lifestyles, but yeah, it's I mean, I'll probably have a bit of a crack on the weekend still, but
But that's just on the
Yeah,
weekends, I guess. But in
that's-
terms of actual routine,
Yeah,
very
yeah.
similar.
Very similar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, amazing. Well, I suggested. From one of our setters, a question suggested by them was, which one of you freaked out the most during the whole billboard?
No,
I
Big
think we were
Ganza.
pretty
No one
cash.
freaked out.
Pretty
yeah.
I think
okay?
we were pretty cool.
Yeah, I felt very safe up there.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
Strapped into a harness, you got a little seat underneath you. You weren't actually like hanging over the edge, so there was no height
Do
for
you know what
you.
the scariest
Yeah.
thing? I honestly think the scariest thing that we've done in 8 years, not for Ben, but for me, was when I talk about routine, there was that one point where Ben was training to be an amateur fighter, and he like sort of had a year of training and was quite strict with that and was going on lots of runs, and that's when our body weight really just we haven't quite reached that. We were the same for ages. Now I'm like 10 kilos heavier than him constantly. Maybe a bit more than that.
You got to keep that in check, don't you?
Yeah.
You got to watch
Yeah.
out for your
But
post.
I remember there was this thing where we were going to have a fight, right? Like
Yeah.
Ben was, and it was going to be like proper boxing. We
Why
knew.
did we have a fight? Was there a reason?
Well, yes,
just
because
do it for
you
fun?
I
claimed
can't remember.
no, you kept claiming how sick you were for winning your first fight. The kid was 15. Remember?
no, I reckon he was 16.
still, Ben was like 25 at the time, and he was wailing on
He
the
was
16-year-old
Oh,
at
no.
an
Is that
RSL.
legal?
Oh well.
I don't think so. His
Anything's
parents
legal.
were
Might have to
crying.
beat that out, guys.
Anyway, and I said I would like defend the kid's honor or something like that, or like whatever. If you think you're so tough, then
No, that's right. I said, if you're so tough, you fight me. And then you kept beating around the bush and you kept hiding from it.
Oh,
and then I said, because I didn't think we'd get it,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
posted a photo and I said, if this gets 50,000 likes,
That's right.
Liam will fight me. And
and
it
it
got
got
it.
And you got it.
It got
Yeah.
about 60,000 before
Yeah.
9 a.m.
Yeah.
It just went bang.
And
And
then
I
so
remember
that
it got to the
day-
point where this dude at the train station, I was listening to music,
Yeah.
and he like went, he pulled my, how confident is that? He pulled my headphones out and went, "You gonna fight Ben soon?" And I was like, "Oh, okay, if it means I don't have to fight you." But yeah, no, I was actually scared because I knew we like built it up so much that I was like, if we don't commit to this, like if it's kind of like soft or I go down quick or whatever, then people will sniff it out.
So it's a good fight.
Bit of a KSI Logan kind of thing going on. You
I
guys,
I
had
guess.
to,
suppose so.
Yeah.
you guys had to do it. you know?
Yeah, and he
Yeah.
beat the shit out of
Yeah,
me.
it was good. It's a good video if you want to go see it.
Yeah,
What? Is
yeah.
it, where can
Oh,
send us
I
find
I
this?
reckon if you
Ben
type
Liam
in,
Instagram, I reckon.
yeah, or just type in Ben
Oh,
Liam fight. it'll
Yeah,
come up.
if you go on the Insta, it'll take a bit of scrolling, but it's there.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yes. And yeah, he got me in the guts a few times. But
Yeah.
yeah, I remember being scared. Yeah, I was nervous before that one.
Well, so would I. I'd be pretty nervous about that. Well, so
We can have a fight now if you want. I don't know.
are you
I
guys
think,
sure?
I think
Okay.
that'd be pretty
All right,
good
I'll
for
just take my jacket off first. sorry.
be good for your ratings.
Yeah.
Work for
Probably you
us.
never know. Taydam and Fresh versus Nova straight
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
Ding ding.
So how do you guys stay so energetic and funny? Because I'm getting a sense of comedy is a major thing. Obviously, not only for Nova, but for the both of you. Is that kind of
Yeah.
Where you guys stem
The energy thing. I suppose we just sort of get. I mean, nothing kicks us into gear more than a good caller or like a good someone telling a good story.
Yeah, I think you
on the
get.
show.
I mean, it sounds weird, but I guess you get energy
excited.
from the good content that you do, and then
Yeah.
if you are having a bad run, you lose energy, and that's momentum.
Absolutely. Yeah, we've been in ruts before. You're like, oh god, nothing's working. But as long as
But also-
you're having fun and
Yeah, I mean, you get momentum and energy from when you get wins on the board, but then also sometimes you just don't have energy. Sometimes you are tired. I'm pretty tired now.
yeah, and sometimes you're so tired, but you manage to get away with it, and it's almost you think it's awesome, and then you listen back and
Yeah, it's
oh,
not
wow.
awesome.
'Cause
Bit of a groove,
It's
hey?
almost that that thing where you kind of like hysterically laugh. Well,
Yeah,
you just
you're
sort of like you're like delirious.
Kind of like fake it till you make it, but not. So
Yeah. There's been shows where we've woken up and just like, oh my god, what's happening? After that Arias that one year.
Yeah.
Oh man.
A lot of coffee as well. Coffee helps.
I don't do coffee though. That's where our
Neither
routines.
do I. I can't. Like because I'm so. With me and my personality, I'm pretty energetic as it is.
Oh, you don't say.
Yeah, you didn't say so. Well, yeah, I can't have coffee. It just kind of pushes me down.
Overdrive.
I kind of get
really?
depressed.
Yeah, right. It has the opposite effect.
Yeah, it's weird, man. I can't have it.
Yeah.
I'm on the chai lattes at the moment.
Yeah,
just the chai almonds.
Which is supposed to put you to sleep, but that's just
But
bringing you down to...
That brings me down to
the
Cloud Nova 919.
Yeah.
That's what it does. Well, moving forward, guys. So, speaking about current times, what's your thoughts on the Bitcoin news lately?
I got a bit of
Bitcoin.
Bitcoin. I got a little bit of Bitcoin.
He's got Bitcoin.
Yeah, I got a bit of Bitcoin.
No,
I got a bit of Bitcoin.
Yeah, he wanted to invest in Bitcoin and marijuana a few years ago. He went with the Bitcoin.
What about yourself?
Oh, yeah, no idea.
No.
Yeah, I don't have any of it. I actually noticed I was at Beer and Barbecue Festival on the weekend in Adelaide, and there was this barcode on the, like a QR code on the cups. And if you scanned it, you got $10 worth of, or 10 Bitcoins.
There you go.
You get 10
Bitcoin.
10 Bitcoins is
Bitcoin's worth $60,000 as we speak right now.
What's the currency
so
called
where's
again?
this place?
You got 10 crypto nuggets, whatever it was.
But yeah, no, I like Bitcoin, I guess. I got this app where I bought it, but I can't sell it. So it's taken my money, and it says I've got it, which is great, and it's gone up in value, but I can't do anything.
It's very
with
interesting times though, because it's kind of like I don't know, because it's just with the whole Elon Musk getting
he
it. He
just bought some, didn't he? And he's buying a bunch of it. Yeah,
and it's kind of like, when the media get their hands on stuff and they spread it. It's kind of like the power of storytelling, and everyone just gets on it.
That's why you see the value of it going waves so much. It has massive spikes and then it drops off because it starts to get popular. Everyone talks about it.
Yeah.
It gets more popular, so everyone buys it, and then it spikes, and then it drops off again, and then it spikes. So it kind of just goes in waves.
And
but it makes sense when you think about like Elon Musk's, bought it recently, as you just said. But I feel like it makes sense when you look at the world and the more and more connected it is through the internet, that there's going to be I don't know if it's universal, but it'll be worldwide currency. It does seem silly that every single place has its own
decentralized
unique
system.
Like,
it's pretty cool.
worldwide's okay, but universal, that's crazy. I mean,
Aliens, they're not going to take Bitcoin.
They're not going to do.
You never know. They could have set it up though. You never know. That it doesn't have an owner.
True.
An alien trying to buy petrol at the server. No, you what? You don't take Zebulon? You guys are idiots.
I've only got Gorax.
Awesome. All right, guys. Well, for our setters interested in joining the magic that you guys are creating here at Nova 919, how do they become part of this? Like, how do they get involved with you guys?
Like specifically our team?
Well, anything
you wait
to
out
do
the
with
front
Nova.
of
Sign up.
75 Hummer.
Just stand outside and we'll collect you.
Yeah.
Geez. I mean, it's
How do
an
they get
interesting
with the
question. With specifically our team?
Yeah, your team, Nova.
I suppose, yeah. I mean, first things first, you could always hit us up on the Ben and Liam Instagram. We try and get, we say we get back to everyone.
We miss some, but...
We
try.
We're not as good with that as we were. I don't know about that. But we sort of get back to as many people as we can, so you can always reach out there. I mean, there's a lot of the time there's jobs in street team sort of stuff that come up as well. Casanovas is what they're called here. So, but I mean, to be honest, there's nothing crazy about bringing your resume up and coming to the front office, and why not? I remember actually when we worked at Fresh, we actually delivered. Do you remember that? We gave some lollies to the reception.
We found these old, at Fresh, for some reason, they had these old packets of Allen's lollies. There's a lot of them, a lot of packets. And we got these promo photos that we'd photoshopped ourselves. Yeah. Anyway, we put them onto the packets and stapled them on there.
Attached our flyers.
Yeah. And then we went down to Rundle Mall and gave them out to people, hoping they'd start listening to the show. And then we had two packets left.
Yes.
And we said, should we go to Nova and give them to the boss at Nova to try and get their attention? And we're a bit scared. We're like, let's do it. And so we got the elevator up to where we are right now. And we had 2 packets, and we chucked one to the receptionist, and we said, give this to your boss. And then we chucked to the second one, and we said, and that's for you.
And then we went... and ran back into the lift. And now, I actually just kind of forgot about that until now. But then it's kind of weird thinking, I didn't really think about that until now. But it's kind of funny how we've ended up here.
Yeah.
And that didn't happen from that.
Yeah.
But that's it. You guys get a job. It's that easy.
When we came back to Fresh, they were like, what the heck did you just do? Like the sales
Nova
team had called
them.
him, and they're like, what, is this a war? Are you trying to start a war?
This is a threat.
As if we dropped off a dirty bomb in the sales department. Like, Crazy.
Now it's fruit chocks.
Yeah.
By the
Yeah,
way, the
yes.
fruit chocks.
Yeah.
Well, if you want to bring us some fruit chocks, we'll give you a job.
But
No,
no,
that's it. I'm on tomorrow evening
Yep.
with Drive with Cal. I can swing by, give you some
Yeah.
fruit chocks.
There you go.
Well, look, yeah, I'd say the best thing to do is just genuinely reach out because, like I
Yeah.
said before earlier, if you don't reach out, you never know.
Yeah,
Exactly.
absolutely.
It's as simple as that. One question away.
Wow.
Well,
Hey,
last question,
Do
guys.
you want a drone?
Is that it?
One question. Is it a dramatic question or is it just like a
Right.
fun question?
We work in radio.
Yeah.
we know how to press buttons.
Fun or dramatic? What do you reckon?
Oh, it's kind of. I'll let you guys decide. Give
Okay.
me, surprise me. Do it.
Okay, yeah, okay. We'll go with.
He's looking at all the fart sound effects going.
Oh, this is cool. I like this one.
Yeah, all right.
So, last question, guys. Any final words for today's?
Final words?
Yeah, it's hard. over this
Wait, can I listen to it with
fun.
you?
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Over this fun music, it's kind of hard.
It's kind of like a
Well,
Mario.
guys,
Yeah.
have
It is a good
fun.
Mario.
Follow your passion and stay in Adelaide.
Don't have to rap.
Oh, okay.
Just give your answer.
Rap battles.
Sorry, you give me a sick beat, I'm going to lay it down.
Oh, this
Are you
one's
gonna rap your answer?
Yeah, yeah, setter, full setter. Have fun and follow your passion. That's what I'm saying. Ben, give us a rap.
I'm not gonna rap.
Oh,
Oh. Rap battles of history.
geez,
That's a
I
great
forgot
YouTube
about
channel. I
that
haven't
one.
seen
Yeah,
it.
I love
yeah.
that show,
Jeez,
man.
very
That was
good.
the best.
That was
Yeah.
good, wasn't it?
Yeah, look at
Sorry.
that.
Let's try and answer your question properly. What was it? Any final words?
Any final words?
Sorry, I got lost in the rap.
Yeah.
So did I, actually.
I would just say that look, if you're a young person in Adelaide, I mean that's kind of what we were, and we were sort of able to follow our passions. I mean, we're speaking just purely radio, really, but
Yeah.
there is opportunities there, and if you sort of reach for them and just grab them with both hands.
And this is from the top of my head. I don't know if anyone else has got this or not. I'm assuming no one else has ever said this before, but say hi to your mum for me.
oh, that's good.
Oh, that's a good
Do you like that?
Here's another one.
Yeah.
If you shoot for the stars and miss, you're always going to land on top of the world.
That's also
that's
very
a good
good, Liam.
one.
Yeah. Here's
what about I got one? Stay classy, San Diego.
Stay classy, San Diego.
Last one. The harder I train, the luckier I get.
Rocky said
Oh,
that.
that's a good one.
Remember. Can we make that the title of the
Yeah.
podcast?
Yeah, no,
And
I'll
just-
sort that out for
and
you.
Quote me. Thank you.
Quote me, thank you.
Cheers.
Well, it's time to make like a tree and leaf setters. Thank you so much for
Very good.
episode
That's
4.
another good one.
That was a good one. Episode 4 of Give and Take with Tay, over and out. Guys, thank you so much for having the Adelaide set here. It's been a blast.
No worries.
I guess
Thanks for
that's it.
coming.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks as well, George. George didn't
Yeah,
get a mention.
cheers,
but
George. Oh,
he's,
yeah,
he's
oh, yeah.
filming in the corner.
Thanks, George.
Yeah, the director, founder, the CEO, you name it. Thanks. Cheers, guys.